First, an observation. When I sit here before the meeting for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever, I look out at the sea of faces before me, and guess what I see? I see faces that look at me pleadingly. The pleadingly faces say to me, "Please tell me what to think next." The pleading faces say, "Tell me what to do next." I am sitting here, a little machine with all the little electric gadgets inside of it, with a button on it. Please come along and push the button so I'll know what to do with myself for the next 30 seconds. That's exactly what I see on your faces. And that's exactly why I let you sit here and suffer, not knowing what to do with all this energy that is inside you. If I push the button mechanically, you'll get nothing. If you learn to understand that you have to do it yourself, from yourself, your consciousness, your understanding has to push your own mechanical button. I'm speaking in figures of speech, do you understand? Then it is right. Then the higher sets the lower into motion, such as our laughter of a few minutes ago, which is good. If you want me to lead you in the laughter, it will be hollow laughter for the most part, because you've just have simply followed orders on it. Not only that, but you want to please me by laughing. Part of it is genuine, part of it is not. Matter of fact, you felt certain relief in a little laughter, did you not? Because I told you yesterday, you're not able to do it from yourself. You can't smile from yourself. You have to wait till someone gives you the lead. And I've told you 2 years ago, even if you do it mechanically at first, 99% mechanically at first, 1% consciously, you walk into this room and make an effort. You can do it. Be pleasant to someone on your own. And still waiting for them to take the lead so you can say, now I'm safe. I can smile back. Why don't you smile first and be the recipient of a scowl so that you can work on yourself? That would be a shock for you. Aren't you aware of this, of what your face is telling not only me, but everyone you meet? You're not, because you've never looked at it. Try sometime turning the arrow back to right up here, not only to the physical expression, that's part of it, because the physical expression will tell you what's deeper, what's in back of it. Then you can see the psychology that brings up and causes that physical expression to be what it is. Defensiveness, neutralness. Many of you here, and I've told Joan this many times right in this class, one of hers is a blank expression. She plays it safe with a blank expression. And there's a lot of anxiety in that. This is her defense. Well, if I don't express anything, no one can leap on it, no matter what it is. If I'm smiling, they can't frown at me, so I'm safe. Or if I frown, maybe they'll be too afraid to talk to me, then I won't have to think of something to say to them. Why don't you just let go and be natural? Live from yourself instead of waiting for the cue, for the signal from outside. Wouldn't it be nicer to live from yourself instead of from someone else? Because if you live from someone else, then they have the whip, and they can do anything they want with you. Don't you want to be in charge of yourself and therefore in charge of everyone else? Or do you think that there's advantages in just being a slave and letting the prison keeper give you the commands? Get up in the morning, go out in the machine shop and grind out these pieces of machinery till noon, have lunch at 12, etc., etc. There is no fun in being cared for, believe you me. If you want to be cared for, your caretaker will whip you and threaten you and intimidate you and take you and steal your soul. A man in prison has everything taken care of for him. He doesn't have to think. A man in the army doesn't have to think. Just be a little machine that takes orders from your superior officers and will feed you, give you a house to live in, a barracks to live in. And oh, by the way, if we ask you to die out on the battlefield, you have no complaints. This is what you've asked for by asking me to be your commander-in-chief. Watch for the catch. When you want security from society, the catch is always there. Okay. Fearing truth is like fearing sparkling stars. Would you write that down and use that as a title of a tape, Joan, please? Fearing truth is like fearing sparkling stars. It's a little bit poetic, but it's not bad. Let's take advantage of the figure of speech in it. If you see sparkling stars, you are in the dark, or I am in the dark, are we not? We look up to something that is higher than us, something that is not a part of our traditional nature, our habitual self-punishing nature. So we look up to stars, something we can't reach but we know is there. And in our darkness, even in our darkness, we can begin to comprehend that there's something besides the darkness, which is the sparkling stars. So much for the use of the illustration. And on to the main point. You are not even at the point yet where you see deeply that you fear truth. Haven't you ever felt that truth is the enemy? And haven't you ever felt that the part of you that fears something higher than you, the part of you that maybe the problem is the part of you that fears the truth instead of the truth itself? Our resistance, our hostility, our wish to not hear something higher than what we already know. But the point is this, and it's believe me, it's very difficult to put into words, but we're working at it. I'm working to say it, and you're working to understand it, which is simply this. Unknown to ourselves, we are in terror of the truth. We're in terror of the truth because we are quite sure, in quote marks, that it is trying to take something away from us that we presently name as valuable, that we unknowingly say to ourselves is essential to my survival. Truth, don't take away my wish for an exciting time on the hot town tonight. Don't take that away from me, because I won't know what to do with myself tonight. I'll have nothing that keeps me racing 60 miles an hour through this evening. Truth, don't take that away from me. So I consider truth's invitation to slow down and stay home some night and be quiet and look at myself and try to understand what's going on. I take that invitation of truth to stay home and do the hard thing instead of the easy thing. The easy thing is to go out on the hot town tonight. The hard thing is to stay home and to begin to shatter the pattern of going out on the town tonight. So unknown to myself, I take the invitation to salvation as an invitation to destruction, which of course, in a new way, a different way which I can't comprehend, it is. How'd that sentence come out? I get going so long that I don't know if it finished right. Try to see where we fear anything at all. By studying that fear, we can begin to see that we take it as a challenge to our present values. This is good for me. It is good for me to be protected by another human being. My wife, husband, parents, by that organization I belong to, by belonging to that political, religious, social, educational organization, by belonging to it, I feel a certain security. Can't I look at my feelings as I'm driving toward that organization, as I'm seated in that hall where the speeches are going on, the lectures are going on, the sermons are going? Can't I see that I'm ambivalent, that I'm contradictory? Can't I see the pain in the pleasure of being in that hall with good old Tom over here and good old Mary on the other side of me? My other friends I recognize 2 rows in front of me. Can I recognize the uneasiness in my ease? Can't I see I hate what I love? Can't I begin to put forth the question, why am I here? What do I want from being here in this hall tonight? This excitement of the political talk, the religious sermon, the excitement, which, by the way, I only hear very little of. I really don't pay much attention to it. I just want to be out there where I feel good, feel protected. Can't I see that the excitement is not natural? Can I see that looking over there and talking, waving at good old Tom over there, and he waves back? Can't I see at the very time I do that I'm empty? Tom can't give me a thing. The 500 people in that auditorium, not only can they not give me something, but can I go deeper than that and see that Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Mary, and Helen, and Martha are actually stealing something from me? But they're stealing from me because I am trying to steal from them in the same way. Am I not? Tom feels the same false security and confidence when I wave at him as I do when waving at him, but he doesn't know that. But I'm beginning to work on myself, and I'm beginning to see the false atmosphere of where I am. When I do this, it makes me shake. It makes me tremble. Already I can begin to recognize that I'm fearing the truth that is trying to get me out of that stupid hall with all these scared human beings, all these hostile human beings. Already I could see my reluctance to leave the wilderness and start my journey back to the Father's home. The prodigal son is scared to hear the call back home, isn't he? Aren't we?
Yeah.
Don't you get scared. Now, don't tell an untruth. See how gentle I was? I didn't say lie. We're afraid of what is being given us here in this room. Can you be aware of that and go against it instead of going with it and leaving or closing your ears while you're here? Do the very opposite. That is, if you're going to obey truth, which is right, then you must also go to the opposite on a certain level and disobey untruth. Think about that. It is essential for me to begin to disobey falsehood, which is the same thing as beginning to obey something that's higher than my present untruth, as a little side thought. If I see that I am scared of where the truth is trying to take me, if I see I'm scared, I can deliberately go ahead and do what I fear to do. Go right into it, follow my own lustful sex thoughts, follow my own greed for money. Lots of money. I want lots of money. I can follow that greed instead of condemning it, instead of feeling ashamed of it, or instead of feeling proud of it. I know what I want, lots of money. You get lots of dough. That's what it's all about here on earth. You want to talk philosophy to me, I'll talk money to you. Follow that and see, first of all, how much it takes me over, how it's my whole life, whether it's, if I can make 50 cents on this deal, that's better than making nothing. I have 50 cents I didn't have before. And therefore, I'm somebody who can do something. I'm somebody who can make 50 cents. Or I'm somebody who can make $1,000 a week. That makes no difference. They all contribute to what I call me. If I can carefully follow everything that goes on inside of me, follow it instead of fear it, I will begin to understand that it is indeed not a basic, natural, essential part of my nature, that I have believed in it, the greed for money. I have believed in it because I have believed in false values, namely the false value of who I am and what I have to achieve in this life. Now, instead of fearing the greed, which is truth trying to teach me something by observing the greed, instead of being afraid of it, I can begin to dissect it, take it apart, examine it, and see what it's all about, until I come to see what it means to not identify with anything at all that happens inside of me. As I begin to understand this, a new battle begins to form in me. This is one of the most fascinating features of the way back to the Father's home. Father with a capital F, of course. Capital H, too. The next time I get the notice that the political meeting or the religious meeting is next November 1st, I get the notice in the mail and I look at it. For the first time, I'm in a little bit conflict. I wasn't 2 months ago when I got the notice, the monthly notice. I was no conflict at all. Something to do. Next meeting. I've got something to do. That's taken care of. Now it bothers me, right? It bothers me because I've been working on myself and I'm divided, but something else has entered. I am aware just that much that I'm divided, which means this. I want to go to the meeting, but I don't want to go. For the first time, I understand what I heard so many times in the class, that my name is Legion, that I'm not one person or two persons, but maybe 50 people, but at least I can see two. One part of me, one man says, go to the meeting, have a lot of fun, go on down there and have the punch and cookies and all that stuff. Another part says, don't go because you already, sir or madam, sense the emptiness that will be there when you go. All right. Whichever I do is not important. Whether I go or stay home, believe me, is not important. What is important is for me to study what happens whatever I do. But suppose I go. Suppose I go. if I go, I'm going to begin to get miserable. The misery consisting of sitting there, listening to the talk, applauding at the right time, waving to Tom on the other side of the room. But I'm scared because I'm beginning to lose something, right? I'm beginning to lose my values, lose everything that has made me one of the gang. Everybody likes me. I know that. We talk to each other and here, have another cup of punch. Truth is telling me not to give up anything, but to understand something so it falls away. But right now, I'm in conflict. Great. This is entering the lion's den, isn't it? Suppose I made the blunder of staying home, telling myself, I'm staying home because now I'm spiritual. I've given up the world. Heaven help me, right? I must do what I must do. Whether you go to the meeting or stay home is what you are. That is what you must do. You have no choice. If you pull a horse to the left, does he have a choice? He goes to the left. You pull the horse you're riding to the right, the horse goes right. Does that horse have a choice? He obeys the master on his back. We obey the dark master on our back, pretending that we have a choice. We don't. We're beginning to understand that we don't have a choice, that we must obey. And how do we do that? If a horse was able to do it, which he isn't, of course, if a horse could think, as a human being could think, he could say, I'm not a free will agent at all. I thought I was. But every time, in exchange for the oats, when I hear that pull on my mouth, I go left or right. I'm forced to go right. I'm not as free as I thought I was. Continuing the horse analogy, he could begin to say, get off my back. I don't want your oats. I see a lot of green grass out there. And he kicks off the rider and the saddle and the bridle and the bit and rushes out to the green grass and is a free horse. You get the point. So whatever I am compelled to do, instead of fearing being pulled left or right or go to the meeting or staying home, instead of fearing that, I go. As if I have any choice. There's a machine, a horse, so I go. But I go with a determination to understand what is happening to me internally. And one of my best teachers is everything that happens to me externally. Something happens with that man, that woman, that talk. I study the speaker, for example. Maybe I study the faces of certain people who, because of the seating arrangement, I can see certain people seated over to my right. Say I can see 6 people, 3 men, 3 women, over to my right. And I'm beginning to put these things into operation. And I watch their faces, and I begin to see that they are under the spell of that dynamic speaker. And that's why he's the speaker, because he's dynamic, not because he's smart or intelligent, but because he has power to dominate and to say, I will tell you what to do. And the 6 sheep sitting over in view, in my vision, I'm watching them to see something that I learned in class, that sheep will always obey the wolf up on the platform. And I see an astonishing number of things. I see the fixed look on their faces. They're looking up. They're entranced by him, because every once in a while he'll get a strong point in, and I can even see them maybe tremble or are getting ready to applaud, but they wait to see the next. They can't even applaud on their own. They wait till someone, the first mechanical man, then they catch it up. Have you ever noticed that? It's swell. Or he says something funny, and everyone starts to laugh to one degree or another. He set them off. I see endless things. And I see that those 6 people over there, for the first time I can connect their facial expressions and their behavior with something I heard in class, that human beings are machines and that they are lost. And I also see, and I get scared at this truth that truth is trying to get into my thick head. I see that those people, that Tom and Mary and Helen and Bill, they are not my friends at all. Boy, I'll tell you. Now look, I can only go so far in putting this into words. You had better go into the shocking feeling of seeing deeply what I just said. Those 6 people who you've been studying and you begin to suspect are not your friends, because you saw some hatred in that one man's face, and you suspect if he's hateful toward that man, he can turn toward this man right here. And you suspected all along. Remember that little sarcastic look? It was very sharp and fast that you caught. All right. You're beginning to see that not only are they not your friends, their aim in life, their sick aim in life, is to be your enemy so that they can profit from you being their enemy while calling you their friend. They want something from you, which is why they'll hate you if you eventually die within yourself enough to the point where you walk out of the group. And by the way, I said the other day, and let me repeat it, don't be a martyr. If you disappear quietly, you'll keep the water as calm as possible. But if you're sick and say, I'm now spiritual, goodbye, that's part of your sickness, right? Give lots and long thought to the idea that we fear the truth that is trying to give us something good. We fear truth is trying to take something away from us, which indeed it is. It's trying to take away my sickness, my compulsive need for security in the crowd, which is false, or the delusory security of repeating certain thoughts, slogans, feelings inside my own system. I fear that if truth takes away all this mechanical machinery, that I won't know what to do. And that is true. You won't sit here in this room waiting for a cue from me or from someone else. You won't have anyone to tell you what to do. That person is gone. He's vanished. How can I say the next words rightly with a proper emphasis? Let me see if I can try. You won't be a sheep in which the wolf in sheep's clothing can dictate to. You won't be a sheep at all. Instead of being a sheep, you will be something else that doesn't have a name. Not a sheep, not an eagle, not a lion. There will be nothing there at all, see? But in this nothing there at all, in this blank space, in this absence, is someone, something, that doesn't have to take orders from out there, or even in a very special way from in here. Because there, in the higher sense, there are no orders. Because orders mean that someone is giving an order to someone else, and that's the vision. So there's something, someone there who is whole, whose very being is the order. So that you're living spontaneously, freely from yourself, with nothing to do but to be fully yourself. Repeat. With nothing to do but to be wholly who we really are. Then, exterior activities, which are part of the whole, your family, your friends, your business life, your sex life, your social life, your pleasure in taking walks and in planting tulips. All that becomes easy and natural. And you do it not because you are looking for something to do, but because God happens to be expressing himself in you, in this gentleman, in planting tulips. And this lady, it's in playing the violin. And this gentleman back here, it's in doing something he likes to do. Because it's not harmful to the individual, being an expression of the capital all. Let's try to see where we fear truth. Having seen where we fear truth, let's go right ahead and understand why. Understand the whole process. And out of that will come a new wholeness. You want leading, do you? Someday, some bright, happy day in my life, I'm going to see one of you both so eager to ask a question that you'd really like to go into, and also so unhypnotized by the atmosphere that you will take a little right initiative and raising your hand and saying, "This I would like to know." Or are you afraid to pass from passive to active, properly so? You are all passive in these lessons, these higher lessons. You're all 99%, 99 and 9/10% passive. For your sake, be a little more active. You're given that opportunity on Sunday to be the active force, and the rest of us, including myself, become the passive. We listen to you and get things from you. Try to leap over into the active part. Never mind how stupid your question is, if it is, and if you get chastised for it being a dumb question or a wrong question, then take that. You've dared it, haven't you? You've dared to look foolish. This is the last thing we want to do, isn't it? To look foolish. You know, there are about 5 things. Someday I'm going to sit down and write a list of the things we fear most, and that is one of them. The fear of appearing foolish. That's because we have the image of being wise. And do you know another one? Listen to this and watch. The fear of being blamed. Human beings will do anything to avoid being blamed for something. Why don't you take the blame if it belongs to you and work from that? All right, what would you like to talk about? What question would you like to ask that you fear there might not be an answer for you? For example, you might unconsciously fear that I may not know the answer. Did you ever think of that? Why don't you ask it anyway and see what happens? Watch me as I respond, for example. If I don't know the answer, what an opportunity you have to find it for yourself.
It's right. You gave that girl a shock last night, and that's the lesson at the same time, right?
Repeat that.
Last night, the girl you talked to, you were really giving her a shock and giving us a lesson at the same time.
Oh, yes. I was talking to everyone as well as her, and I pushed it just a little bit. It wasn't too, you've seen it go a lot farther than that, because her attitude, at least on the surface, was more or less not too bad. If I'd saw her suddenly stiffen up, then I would have stopped, see. You want it or you don't. If you don't get out,
Vernon, you said something before the break about we don't really decide what we're going to do. I mean, that we're like a machine and we're following our compulsion, but to watch what is happening inside us. Is this, we never make a conscious decision on our own as yet?
who would make a conscious decision? That sentence has about 50 things in it. Who would make a conscious decision? First of all, who would make a conscious decision? If I am conscious, is there a who? And would the decision be one which would have an opposite to it? You know, would there be any conflict in, could there be a conflict in a conscious decision? Or is consciousness understanding? I like the word understanding better. Understanding with a capital U, isn't that always undivided? Look, I make decisions. You make decisions. That will have an opposite to it, won't it? And the decision I make will be based on the decisions I've always made, based on my conditioning and based on my belief that I must preserve and protect myself at all costs. But is this I who's making that decision? There's no I there. There's only a mechanical flowing of my acquired ideas. I am not that idea at all, but I think I am. I want to become, I've been poor most of my life. I think I'll invest or start this business or do this or that, or commit crime. Commit crime to get rich. Who is saying that? Is an entity saying that, or is an idea simply running through the mind, which the man or woman sees and says, I have made the decision to get rich. There's no I there at all. But other I's make us think so, because another I will say, if you get rich, you will be loved, respected, and as if you will, of course. And you'll have a nice, big, comfortable home like your friends have. You won't be considered a flop. All this is delusion, isn't it? If we were sane, we could say consciously, I need to go out today and make $10 to give myself bread and tea. There's no division in that. There's no division even if you go out and no one wants to hire you. No one wants to buy your apples. No one buys your apples, and if you're conscious, that does not put you in division. It may make your body hungry, but it doesn't put your spirit in division. Watch yourself. Let me see if I can put that a different way. Follow yourself being led around. Wait a minute, Jim. Let's let that sink in just a little first. Notice how you are led around by something up here, and the whole body for that matter. Notice how I'm taken to that meeting. Maybe even I get up and get out of that meeting during the break. Notice how I go to the store and buy something. Why did I buy that picture? What in me? Now, I didn't buy that picture. Something in me, some force in me said, I like that picture. I'm going to spend $200 and get it. That wasn't me. That was something deciding for what I call me. Watch how we are led over there and up there and down there and around there, which is the beginning of separation, the beginning of non-identification with my inner features, good, bad, indifferent. Jim, yes?
This has been a point that I have had a discussion with this person. Said, well, okay, if there is no good, if you quote in the human part. Well then, what is it that takes you to class? Isn't that the good part? So then, if there is no decision, is then there is like something like a magnetic force that draws a person here, not a conscious decision?
It's a small bit of consciousness. We've gone over that many
Yeah.
times. We've simplified it.
Yeah.
A wish for something different. It's been called magnetic center. It's been called a thirst for God, if you want to get religious. You know, watch yourself being drawn to this class, or watch yourself going away if you go away for a time. Watch what happens. Watch how you're in conflict over it. You know, if you've got anything small right in you, you will be disturbed. You will be disturbed by not being here, because you are hungering for your Father's house, but you still love the attractions of the wilderness. Can you simply see that? That could be a call back, could it not? And watch all the forces. Follow the forces that tell you, for any reason at all, not to come to this class. That'll be a lie, I'll tell you. I don't care how cleverly you lie to yourself. You'll never ever convince yourself that it's wrong and bad to come back here. Some people, not all, some people who come here for a while, you know, maybe several weeks or months, and then go away, go into deep, deep sorrow, deep pain, deep conflict back and forth, because they've had a taste, and that taste can't leave them. Have you ever had this experience with this class? Just a minute, please. That taste can't leave you. Boy, now you're in conflict, aren't you? You want to come back, but you don't want to come back. How terrible. All right. Begin to disobey the lie that tries to keep you away. Disobey, which is obeying truth, is it not? And come back. Never mind what the voices say. Come back and see what happens. You're defying the devil. Write a sentence down. Defy the devil, exclamation point. Defy the devil. And by this time you know where the devil is living, don't you? He's living in hell, and where's the hell? Yes. Alicia.
Well, as you were talking about that, I went through that experience when I left the meeting. It was all the time that in the back of my mind, anything that happened that wasn't compelled what I was expecting outside there, like the so-called good times, so-called friends, and everything else. The meetings was back of my mind. And I wanted to come back, but I didn't want to come back. I was afraid of the rejection, afraid of something.
Do you connect your going away with what we talked about earlier, fear that truth is trying to do something bad to us, trying to take away my happiness? Get that. I was going to ask Leland to wait and let you let go of yourselves first. So why don't we do that now? Why don't you just let go of what you were doing out in the other room there, or what you were thinking about, or what had captivated you, or what scared you this week that is still coursing through you unbeknownst to you because you never noticed such things. How many of you have been scared this week? See the hands of the scared people? Will you agree with me that to be scared, to live in fear of people and of life in general is a pretty terrible way to live? Would you agree with that? Would you agree? Would you agree that a life lived in fear makes no sense at all? If you're afraid and you have a career in front of you that looks promising, or if you have a marriage in front of you or an unmarriage in front of you, Or if you're still young and the world looks beautiful to you because it has knocked you around enough as yet. And you're the cause of it knocking you around, by the way. Maybe you haven't noticed the number of things that scared you within the last hour. Looking at someone's face coming into this room, unconsciously reviving the memory of something that happened to you yesterday or a month ago, 20 years ago. You're so scared, let me tell you something. You had better wake up and listen. You're so scared you can't even behave properly. The smallest challenge, the smallest unexpected event can terrify you and confuse you and ruin your little life for you. I think it's a pretty good idea if we go into this matter of fear a little bit. But you had better be quite aware of how much it has captured you, how it even dominates everything you do, think. It dominates where you go. And it makes you so tensely careful. It keeps you so tensely prepared all the time that you have no life of your own. When I say you're tensely prepared, you understand what that means? You have your stock phrases ready, don't you? You have your stock set of reactions ready, don't you? All of them usual, familiar, all of them painful, and you don't even see the pain in what you call your self-protection. Why on earth don't you let things happen? Oh, now we see why. You don't let things happen because that would leave you out of it, right? If you just let that event, that unexpected occurrence, down at the office or in the home, or inwardly, your health, anything, if you just let it happen, you wouldn't have anything at all, would you? Don't you understand the fear and the madness in deliberately creating a crisis out there? Get this. In order to experience a crisis in here, for without that nervous crisis that you painfully enjoy so much, without that painful crisis, you think you'd be afraid. Did you hear that? You are afraid that if you don't create a crisis, a fight, a disappointment, a gloom, if you don't create that inside yourself, you'll be scared. Don't you see what we're doing? Can't we see the illogic, the nonsense of trying to do something to keep away fear when it's the very thing that creates and perpetuates it? What if you were willing, and I'll have you read that in a minute, Joan. What if you were willing to let an event teach you something that you don't know up until this time, this point of time? Whatever the event is, and you can watch yourself being made scared by it, be made timid, uncertain, doubtful, and therefore put on a false front, which we always do when we're scared. That phony front, hoping that we won't see it and he won't see it. What if we left the event all alone? What if you didn't try to do a thing with it, but at 20 minutes to 8 tonight, you were new to everything that's happened or that will happen. Some of you very likely have events going to occur tomorrow, perhaps next week, another month, something that you know will happen on the social level, everyday level, something that's caused you concern, maybe something longer range than that, again in connection with your health, maybe a year off, maybe a crisis you know will sooner or later meet you. Why don't you leave it alone? Why do you create the crisis at all by thinking about it? Not that ignoring it in itself is what we're after. What we're after is to meet it very intelligently, very freely, when it does come, when it comes in time, but to meet it with a self that has no time in itself. So there's no clash with time. There can't be a clash with time because you and I are not living in it. I don't know what on earth that crisis can do to me, except as I want something out of it, except as I may even want tears out of it, want the pleasure of fighting out of it, I want the pleasure of being afraid of what has happened or of what's going to happen. Because then I'm involved in it, and I think at least I have a life. It may be a pretty miserable life, but at least I'm alive and you're dead. But you understand that this world is populated by dead human beings, to use that blunt word. Don't you know that? What do you think your condition is, by the way? What do you think do you think you're a conscious, awake, harmless individual? Or do you hurt people just by being what you are? Some of you, I look at your faces and you're enough to discourage anyone. That's right. Someone who is weak enough and gullible enough to take the contagion from you and look at you. I give you an order right in this class. You listen. If you ever see another depressed person in this class, another discouraged person, another scared person, another angry person, I forbid you to believe in it. You are forbidden to believe in that tearful, angry, frightened, confused face. Don't you dare. When you do, you're giving away the fact that you're on the same level as that person. That a mechanical force, you are giving away the fact that a mechanical, unconscious, negative, evil force has power over you. Now, isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that something has power to tell you how to feel? To control your reactions, your emotions, your day, your life. What a tragedy that you can be set off by anyone or anything. You understand, by the way, that even your best friends don't disturb you too much, because we have a mutual social agreement that we're going to play the game. We're going to pretend that we like each other, that we're cooperative, that we're pleasant, that we're generous. We'll play the mutual game. Play the mutual game. So as to prevent each other from getting the shock. This class, one purpose of this class is to rise way above that and to give each other, as much as we can take, even here, the shocks that are necessary to show us the actual basic cause, the fundamental cause of us being afraid. You're afraid because you're afraid to be who you really are. You're afraid because you're afraid to be who you really are. Now, having said that, change it just a bit. You're afraid of giving up who you imagine you are, but you don't know. You have no comprehension at all that you are an imaginary person. You think you're real, and I'm telling you you're not real. Because a real person cannot be scared. Repeat. A real person cannot be scared. He can be challenged. That is, he can be, it's called temptation in the New Testament, for example. He can be challenged by that angry person, by a mad world, by people who demand from him. But he can't be taken from them. He can't be influenced. He can't be dominated. Can't be bullied. Do you know that you're being bullied? Because you're being bullied when another person's behavior can make you jittery. You're being bullied and you are consenting to it. And that, of course, is because you have no strength in yourself. Joan, would you read the last two sentences, the top of the two first, please? Listen to this, please, and can you catch it on the tape?
No, you mean the
Read the first
middle
one twice, please.
First
The
one
middle
twice.
one twice.
middle one twice. All right.
Yes.
You can do the right thing only when you have exhausted and been exhausted by the wrong thing. You can do the right thing only when you have exhausted and been exhausted by the wrong thing.
I'll take it now, yes. You understand that why you and I can never do the right thing? How can artificial personality, how can an accumulation of mental junk, how can fantasies, how can hypocrisies and lies ever do the right thing toward both myself and toward you? I can never do the right thing. My human personality has no capacity for doing anything right except on the everyday level. A psychopath could invent a machine that would help the world dehydrate water or whatever they do with machines on the intellectual level. But morally, if you want to use that word, ethically, decently, you and I have no power in ourselves to do anything right, anything stemming from an awakened conscience. When you get to the point, when I'm exhausted, as the sentence said, so tired, listen, when I break down and cry, when I go hysterically mad because God and life or whoever it is, the enemy out there, won't give me what I want, when I get furious and hateful and want to blow up the world and scream, maybe I have a chance to become right. Not before. I'll repeat what I've told all of you. You had better understand what it means to cry. You had better break down. You had better fall apart. All this phony keeping yourself together with your thoughts and your defenses. Do you wonder that you're afraid? Do you wonder that you're scared when you know that at any second you could see through yourself? And at any second your wife could see through you? As if she didn't already, living with you all those years. But she keeps her mouth shut because she's playing the same game. Do you wonder that we stay scared when we're trying to do the impossible of keeping an illusion going while calling it a reality? I'm sorry, but in this class, you won't permit me to make you cry. You'd rather smile and be pleasant people. You'd rather keep the show going. You'd rather look forward to a better future. You'd rather live in your little closet of daydreams. You'd rather believe the lie that people like you. They don't like you at all. They're using you. They're exploiting you, just as you're exploiting them. The wrongness that we must exhaust and which must eventually exhaust us, is the belief, the idea that I can save myself. How on earth can I save myself when I've been trying 30, 60, 70 years? I haven't saved myself one bit. All I've done is prop it up in this corner, and it falls apart in the opposite corner. Then the next corner, and the next corner. And my life is spent wearily running around looking for more poles to prop up the haunted house. As long as you insist on propping it up with your ideas, your beliefs, with your self-defenses, then 99% of what is said to you in this class will be wasted by you. Fortunately, we can start with the 1% that we are getting. Go ahead, you just go right ahead and run away. Mentally, even physically, many people have run away physically. You go right ahead and run away and never find the answer. That's exactly what will happen if you run away mentally or physically. But let's talk about mentally. Just run away. How can you find the answer when you run away from it? When you protect yourself like that? You know why we run away? We're afraid that the answer won't be what we like. We're afraid that it will be something that will force me to sacrifice something. I am afraid that reality will insist that I sacrifice the illusions that are driving me batty. Think about that. Are we mixed up or aren't we? Do you see the great hope, to use that word deliberately, the great hope we have ahead of us if we deliberately exhaust all our ideas about saving ourselves? If I exhaust the ideas about saving myself, lo and behold, there's no one left to save. And I am saved using the word I consciously instead of mechanically and with identification. When you say the word I consciously, you understand, you don't really mean it. You understand it. You're saying it because you understand that it's a convenient tool for expressing yourself. But there's no I. There used to be, and it was pretty hellish, wasn't it? The sooner we come to the end, the sooner we exhaust our idiocies, the sooner we're able to take the blows and the insults from reality, the sooner we'll get exhausted and get to the point where our fear is total. When your fear is total, you're on the edge of shattering the whole business of fear. Not while you have these petty little partial fears. You are afraid of this and you protect it with that. You're scared of this happening and so you deliberately do something to ward it off. Terror becomes total when you cease to protect yourself. That is a state of exhaustion where you're too tired to pick up the ego sword anymore. You're too weary, and you lay there and you tell whoever you're talking to, you're not sure who you're talking to because you're in delusion over it. Go ahead, slay me if you want. I just can't fight anymore. I have no strength left. God help me, I don't know what's going to happen to me. But I can't fight anymore. This is dying. This is dying to the ego self, to false personality. And out of that death comes life. Read the next sentence, please.
You are rightly exhausted by the wrong thing when seeing there is no thought-constructed self which can do the right thing. You are rightly exhausted by the wrong thing when seeing there is no thought-constructed self which can do the right thing.
Are you puzzled by that, Joan?
Yeah.
Read it
It's a
again.
labyrinth. It's a-
Read it again.
You are rightly exhausted by the wrong thing when seeing there is no thought-constructed self which can do the right thing.
That's kind of not clear?
Yeah, now, okay.
Get it? All right, ponder it during the break. Talk it over.
Constructed what?
Self-constructed. Read it once more, please.
You are rightly exhausted by the wrong thing when seeing there is no thought-constructed self which can do the right thing.
If you would connect it with the first sentence, you'd see it a little clearer. All right, Joan, read the top one now, and Juan, hold this again, please.
You want me to?
You're all right now. Now listen carefully to this. Read it twice, and just listen to it, please. It's too much to write now. It's a paragraph, a short one. Listen to it, please, while Joan reads it twice. Follow it very carefully.
An event or condition is harmless and neutral unless it is stopped by the intellect, which is filled with opposites. When stopped by any opposite, it becomes either painful pain or pleasurable pain. The secret of freedom is to stand aside and let an event or condition pass through the mind filled with opposites and go to higher understanding.
All right, read it nice and loud and clear and slowly once more, please. This is very important.
An event or condition is harmless and neutral unless it is stopped by the intellect, which is filled with opposites. When stopped by any opposite, it becomes either painful pain or pleasurable pain. The secret of freedom is to stand aside and let an event or condition pass through the mind filled with opposites and go to higher understanding.
How many of you do understand that? Rod, did you understand that? Why do you let that event give you painful pain or pleasurable pain? You understand? Why do you let the event give you a contrived, invented exhilaration or depression? Why do you let it? You understand why? In the first place, the event happens. There's no pain in the event at all, obviously. There's no pleasure in the event. That happens in the mind, which works in opposites, yes and no, up and down, and so on. Hatred and love or whatever. When my mind, through its conditioning, translates the event so that I get a vibration out of it, I am satisfied. The word satisfied in quote marks. If you say you love me, I get an exhilaration, do I not? I get a pleasurable pleasure out of it. That's nice. He loves me, she loves me. How nice. It's nice to be wanted and loved and appreciated. I get a feeling of self out of it, do I not? I'm somebody after all because my husband said so. My wife, my girlfriend said so. Thank you for affirming who I am. Okay. 10 days later. 10 days later, I see a little different kind of expression on your face. And now I know You who used to love me so dearly now hate me dearly. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. For you to hate me, I still exist, don't I? I'm still an entity apart from you. You know, I'll even wallow in that. You hate me, you reject me, all of a sudden you do something that unexpected that I didn't expect you to do, and I find myself alone. Well, it's a little bit of a shock, but the shock itself isn't too bad. Not too bad. I'm somebody who gets shocked. And now I can do any number of things to enjoy the pain, right? I can cry, I can get mad at you, I can say I hate you too, I can say I never liked you anyway. My mind can run recklessly up, down, sideways, horizontal, vertical. As long as it keeps in motion, I have the delusion of security of being me. At first, I was someone worthy of love. 10 days later, I'm worthy of hate. Not much difference, is there? They both reflect on who I am. You can have these opposites if you want all your life. By the way, you had an experience, something like that? You have, haven't you? All right. You can have the painful pain or the pleasurable pain, or you can have eternity. So which do you want, ladies? Which do you want, gentlemen? Which do you want, those of you listening to this tape? I said you can have your hostilities and then your apologies afterward, which are phony, of course. You can have these. You can be what you call being loved and liked and appreciated, and you can be very popular. You can even be hated. But you can't have that and have God at the same time. So it's very simple. We always come back to this. Do you want to have the hard work of getting rid of yourself, or do you want to do it the easy way of living with yourself and living in hell? These things we've talked about up to this point are to be understood by us. They are to be understood 1,000 times more deeply than you think you understand them now. How many raised their hands when I said you understood this? How many raised their hands? Let's see your hands again, please. Jean, you're backing off.
This far I
Yes. How many of you are going to go out tomorrow and get your feelings hurt? Who raised your hand? All right. You understood it intellectually, and that's good and necessary. Now you work on it, and you remember this. You remember this the next time you're tempted to try to keep yourself falsely alive by pain or pleasure. You have the courage to have the sacrifice to sacrifice both sides of the coin. One is just as bad as the other. Correct? You see why we have to sacrifice both? Because they're both part of the intellect, and to transcend, to rise above the intellect, we have to go above both of them because both exist on the level of the ordinary mind. When I understand this, when I am exhausted, when I'm so sick and tired of being loved by you one day and hated by you the next, and going through that pattern month after month, year after year, when I begin to see that I'm walking into the trap again and I say no, I'll buy you a new table, Leland. You get emotional. You don't have brains enough to get emotional. You know why? You're afraid of what you might feel. You had better begin to feel everything you've heard here tonight instead of intellectualize it. That is, if you want to rescue yourself while you're still a living man, a living woman. Love eternity, not this life. Put eternity first. And watch how time will exist on its proper level, but will not exist as a factor making you who you are, that is, making you a creature who lives in time. Just think about that a little bit as we take the break. Love eternity. We refuse to examine our feelings for fear they will expose us. For heaven's sake. We fear to examine our feelings for fear they will expose what a phony we call ourselves unconsciously. Suppose you could look at a feeling. How about a sex feeling? Nice strong one. You know, you like that woman you look at down the street there. You like that man, ladies. And you've had a little ounce of courage to examine your feelings. And so you see that you would like that woman. You'd like that man sexually, romantically. Oh, never mind the romance. Make it sexually. That's where you want to end up. Why can't you look at that feeling, just look at it, without permitting it to go into one of the opposites we talked about? What would be some of the opposites? There's endless ones just on this area alone. You look at the woman, you have a sex thought, sex feeling, sexual arousal toward her. You look at the feeling in yourself. Now what do you do with that? That's the question. What do you do with that? Why do you do anything at all? Why do you even say, well, it's all right to look at her that way. After all, God gave me these sexual feelings. They're good. They're all right. I'm not going to condemn myself for them. Which you already are you not? You're explaining to yourself. Or you feel guilty about them. Hide them from yourself. You go into any number of reactions. Why don't you see the feeling and try not to do anything at all about it, just to see what happens sometime. Don't do anything about it. Would that not put, or let me put it more positively than that, that would put an end to the mechanicalness in the feeling, and it would pass away. And this, by the way, is the beginning of command over sex. I didn't say that it would be the end of sex. I said that you would be in command of sex instead of sex being in command of you. And it's in command of you if you have any trouble with it in any way at all. But that is not the topic just for now. Look at a feeling, any kind of feeling. We're talking about being afraid earlier. Why do you react to the fear? Why do you do anything at all with the fear? Why don't you let it go? Why don't you do what Paul did? Oh no, let's do better than Paul in the New Testament. Paul said, I die daily. Let's die secondly. That means a second. I thought I was so profound you wouldn't get it. So that there's no recreating ourselves, no carrying ourselves forward in time at all. So I'll tell you what we're going to do right now, and then we'll have open discussion and questions if you have them. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be fresh right now. I'm going to be new right now, so that there isn't 1 second ago or 1 second to come, so that I have no anticipations at all, therefore no anxieties at all. If you want to be anxious, you go right ahead. Leave me out. How nice to know that I don't have to keep calling the ghosts back that existed there when I was a 10-year-old child, and I used to be so scared. Remember how scared you were when you were 10 years old? How nice to know that here I am, 30, 60, 70. I don't have to call them back to live with me right now at all. I can be free of the whole haunted house full of ghosts. And no event and no human being is going to force me to recall them. I've seen through the bluff. No, no thank you. Dear friend, dear wife, dear husband, dear relative, you want to drive yourself into frenzied fear by living with yourself, go right ahead. You are not going to transfer that to me. I refuse it. I've found the secret. I don't live in time at all. I'm out of the trap of time. Thank God. And by the way, the absence of time is God and eternity. What would you like to talk about? We have lots of time. Yes, nice and loud and clear, please.
Okay, I can understand, I think I understand what you're saying. I don't understand how to let go of time.
Are you coming back to any more meetings?
I hope so. This is my first.
Do you think you'll be coming back to any more meetings?
Yes.
Well, let's find out. What was your question again?
My question was, I don't exactly understand how to let go of time.
Yeah, you'll find out when you come here for a long, long time.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
How do you become uninvolved in other people's lives?
Were you here at the talk tonight?
Yes, I was.
You didn't understand that I answered your question?
Well, I basically understand that you answered my question, but I still don't feel freed up from other people's emotions tied up with your existence.
Would you explain back to me what you understood?
Well, I heard you expressing, why buy into somebody else's anxiety.
Yes, that's right.
Well, how do you remain emotionless when you're involved with other human beings?
Who are you?
Who am I? Time? My name?
Did you have trouble with the question?
No. I just don't see your
That's all
voice.
right. I did this deliberately, and the rest of you were watching. When you're free of yourself the self that lives in time, you will have no problem with anyone else because you no longer have a problem with yourself. Do you understand that you now have a problem with yourself? Yes or no? Do you have a problem with yourself?
Yes.
Yes. So you have a problem with other people based on your problem with yourself.
My emotion
Yes, that's
towards
part of
others.
it. That's
Or
part of
towards myself, whatever.
it. Yes, that's part of it.
I find that the ego or the I wishes to solve other people's problems. Therefore, I get involved.
What reward do you get from, quote mark, solving their problems? You didn't mind the quote marks, did you?
Well, I can see now that I get a feeling of being somebody from it.
Why don't you give that up?
Okay.
Think of Think of how you'll be getting your own life back if you quit going around saving the world. You know, you can come to these classes for one time or for 10,000 times and still remain very, very self-deceived. You can sit in this room and look at me and tell me the most outrageous lies, and you don't see through yourself, and you have no idea of how I see you as a liar. I don't see you with condemnation. I see you as a liar, and I see you as suffering from that. Try to see your contradictions. Try to see how you say one thing but intend another. That is, if you're earnest about all this. If you want to play games and go somewhere else.